Madam Undersecretary, thank you so much for this interview. This is your first media interview since becoming the U.S. Special Coordinator for the Tibetan Issues. We are grateful for that.
Thank you so much, Tashi. I'm honored to have this chance to speak with you, and I want to say Tashi Delek to all of your audience and let you know that I'm a big fan of Radio Free Asia.
In the State Department's mission statement, as well as the statement you have issued, stressed that they're promoting dialogue without conditions between the People's Republic of China and the Dalai Lama or representative. Can you elaborate on this? How are you going to be pushing for that? Since becoming the U.S. Special Coordinator for the Tibetan issue, have you started reaching out to the PRC, the Dalai Lama, or the allies on this matter?
Well, I'm, first of all, so honored to be able to take on this role, and that Secretary Blinken designated me to serve as the Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues and elevated this role again to the Undersecretary level. Since being named, I have been engaged intensively first with the Central Tibetan Administration. I was very pleased to meet their North American representative, my first week of taking on this role, and it was my very first meeting, but also with very committed civil society champions for the rights of the Tibetan people. And I am already engaging with like-minded partners whom we hope will work alongside us in seeking to advance the human rights of the Tibetan people and help preserve the unique cultural, religious, historical, and linguistic traditions of the Tibetan people. So with respect to direct dialogue, yes, we call upon the PRC to engage in direct dialogue with His Holiness the Dalai Lama or his representatives without preconditions, in the hopes that this can help achieve a negotiated agreement on Tibet that provides the best hope for long-term stability for the region and for its people.
China targets to make Mandarin Chinese the common language in all minority areas, including Tibetan, by 2035. The PRC is very rapidly implementing its policy of Sinicizing the Tibetan Buddhism by forcing monks and scholars to learn Chinese and translate Tibetan Buddhist texts into Chinese. Many are very concerned that this will eradicate the Tibetan language and religion. What could the Biden administration and the international community do to stop this from happening?
Well, the United States is deeply concerned by the human rights abuses perpetrated by the PRC against the Tibetan people, and this includes the Sinicization efforts that you mentioned. You know, we're also seeing abusive practices, including arbitrary arrests and detentions, censorship, restrictions on freedom of movement, restrictions on peaceful assembly, and interference in the veneration of Tibetan Buddhists, of their religious leaders, including His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So our view is very clear-cut. We believe this interference and this repression needs to stop. I think it's vitally important to shine a light on what's happening and hear the public reporting, our annual reports on human rights, our annual reports on international religious freedom are vitally important ways to show what's happening and to build international support for calling for these practices to end. It's something that I will prioritize in my role as special coordinator. And in this role, I want to commend all of those in the human rights community, in the Tibetan diaspora community, who are working to shine a light on these issues.
When are you planning to meet with His Holiness the Dalai Lama? Is there a date, or would you visit Dharamsala?
Well, let me say, first of all, I was so honored to receive a letter of congratulations from His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and read carefully his message and took to heart his support for my mission. So I certainly hope to have the opportunity to engage His Holiness the Dalai Lama directly. As you know, Tashi, the challenges of the global pandemic have made it a little bit more difficult in terms of our international travel and engagement. So we're taking full advantage of the ability to engage virtually. But I certainly hope to have the opportunity to engage His Holiness, the Dalai Lama directly. And once we have a confirmation, we will be happy to share it publicly.
Last December, in a letter addressing you, a group of senators urged the current administration to seek to deepen the engagement with the Central Tibetan administration in exile. Those senators sought to engage the new Sikyong Pemba Tsering on ways to improve the livelihoods of the Tibetans within the CTA, to protect Tibetan culture and language inside and outside of Tibet, and to resolve the Tibet conflict consistent with Tibetans' aspiration for dignity and freedom. How can you work with Congress to achieve these goals, given the fact that, the President Xi Jinping has tightened its grip on Tibetans and other ethnic minorities in China? Would you meet officially with Sikyong Pemba Tsering here in Washington, D.C.?
Well, Tashi, I am committed to very close engagement with the Central Tibetan administration. And as I noted, it was a deliberate decision for my very first meeting, just days within being designated for this position, was with the CTA's North American representative. I was heartened to receive, a very substantive letter of congratulations from the Sikyong Pemba Tsering, and I would welcome the opportunity to engage directly in coming weeks.
When addressing the Tibetan issue, would you solely deal with it from a human rights aspect or a wider political perspective?
Well, I want to fulfill the President Biden's commitment to center human rights and democratic values in our foreign policy. And I take that approach in my role as Undersecretary and in my role as Special Coordinator. But certainly there are, important political questions, the question of resumption of direct dialogue without preconditions. We recognize that, involve and go beyond human rights, and the other issues that I mentioned, focusing attention on the environmental aspects and the need to preserve the water resources and the access to these resources on the Tibetan plateau. We want to take an integrated approach to advancing Tibetan issues. So I intend to work very closely with many of my counterparts in the Department of State, and of course with the US Congress, in advancing a multi-pronged agenda.
What message would you want to give to Tibetans inside Tibet through Radio Free Asia?
I think the message I would like to give to your Tibetan audience is one of US appreciation and solidarity, and to underscore our commitment to advance the human rights of the Tibetan people, and our appreciation for your culture, for your unique religious and linguistic traditions, and to tell you that the US is absolutely resolute in offering continued humanitarian support and on working to build an international partnerships to help bring an end to the severe repression being experienced by Tibetans inside China.
Madam Undersecretary, the U.S. Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issue, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Tashi. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and hope this is one of many conversations.
Sure. Thank you so much.